Hey everybody, Bob Chick back with David Bay, another installment of The Last Rep. And unfortunately, David, we had planned to initially cover your show from this past weekend, and of course part two of our Olympia installment. But as everybody knows by now, some very shocking and sad news in our bodybuilding world today, as word came by this morning that big country himself, Dallas Carver, has passed away.
Yeah, I got a few text messages this morning from some people, asking me if I had heard the news. And, we see these hoaxes and rumors, whether it be about bodybuilders or celebrities, all the time. And I guess the first couple of texts that I got, I was, replied like, I'm sure it's just a rumor, like, just take it easy, guys. And after I got about 4 or 5 text messages, I contacted a few people who I know are very close with Dallas, and confirmed, what everybody had said. And I was in just as much shock as I think everybody else. I just saw Dallas 7 or 8 weeks ago when he was guest posing here in Wisconsin. Had a chance to have lunch and dinner with him, and I mean, pretty much the whole world saw the video of Dallas up on stage with that young kid, and I mean, that was Dallas being Dallas. But I was looking forward to seeing him again and hanging out with him in a couple weeks at the Olympia. So it was shocking, saddening, I guess, tragic. I mean, there's really not a lot of different ways you can talk about how sad it is without over exaggerating. But it's a rough day for bodybuilding in general, and especially for the people who are close with Dallas.
Absolutely. Well, I've known Dallas literally since he turned pro. I was there when he turned pro, and we became very close friends. And all this time, he was even closer friends with Flex Lewis and Josh Lenartowicz, both obviously getting ready for the Olympia at this stage, and all three were literally inseparable. Training in the gym. We've seen almost daily videos of them getting ready. Big country putting up ridiculous weight as always. Just stronger than strong can be. We used to kind of laugh about it to a degree because he was so country strong. I mean, and thus the name. You got to wonder how a Flex Lewis and a Josh Lenartowicz is going to process this and manage this, as we're only 3.5 weeks out of the Olympia.
Yeah, I mean, it's if you know these guys, and I've been lucky enough, and I emphasize the word lucky, to get a chance to know these guys over my years working at MD and in this past year. And it's no surprise that Josh and Flex and Dallas got along and were as good of a friends as they are, because they're three just genuinely really good guys. And when you put that kind of positive energy together, you just really help each other be that much better versions of themselves. And I think that's what we saw going on down in Florida. And for friends of Dallas and Josh and Flex, and just for bodybuilding fans, seeing those guys together was really, it was something special. It's like three really good guys. Josh and Dallas obviously competing against each other, so they got all the reasons in the world to kind of have a rivalry. But you had three really good guys just working their butts off together, encouraging each other to be the best they could be. And here we are with a few weeks to go at the Olympia, and obviously it's hit Josh and Flex as hard as anyone could imagine. And I don't know what those guys do at this point. I hate to sound overly cliche, but I would have to imagine that Dallas would want those guys to get back at it right away and work their butts off and try to be the best they can at the Olympia. And that's easy to put down on paper, but if you're Josh and you're Flex and you have to go back to a gym that Dallas's face and his presence was felt at every single day, and continue your prep and things you're doing without him, it's not easy to carry on, but they have to. And I gotta imagine Josh and Flex are gonna take these next few weeks and work harder than they probably ever have, just because that's the way I think that's the way Dallas would have wanted it.
Well, and listen, at the end of the day, they're professionals. I mean, these guys, this is how they feed their families. This is how they put food on their table. And obviously, and it's not cliche, David. Listen, that's exactly what Dallas would have wanted if it was reversed. Um, and they're athletes first. That's what these guys do. That's what they love doing, and so nothing's going to change there. I mean, listen, both these guys will be on stage at the Olympia, I'm sure. Both will represent, both will dedicate this show, and obviously we'll do Dallas right, of course, at the Olympia in remembrance of him and his honor. Unfortunately, this isn't the first time we've had to deal with some tragedy. We've had a few over the years, bro, and it's never been easy. And unfortunately, I've been around for every one of them, from Ben Weeder to Joe Weeder, to Steve Stone to Kenny Castle to obviously now we've had athletes that have died. We've had a couple of former Mr. Olympias that have died. It's never easy, not as a sport, not as a community. It's harder actually at the show when you see his family, when you see people that were close to him, that type of thing. It's almost tougher watching other people, have to react to it, like a Flex Lewis, who was very close to him.
Yeah, I mean, I guess one of the hardest things is how old he was. I mean, he was only 26. So we talk about, people, Ben Weeder, Joe Weeder, Larry Scott, and some of the people that have passed that we've lost that were icons in the industry over the last handful of years. And it's never easy to say goodbye to those people, knowing the kind of the path they helped create for everybody in this sport. But when you see somebody like Dallas, who was such a talent at such a young age and had his whole future ahead of him, and I think anybody who's been around the sport has thrown out a prediction that Dallas could have very well been the next Mr. Olympia and at the top of the game, and I believe that to have been true. So seeing anybody's life cut short is hard. It's like I said, it's hard to say goodbye to people that had a big impact on some aspect of your life, but to see somebody as young as Dallas pass with so much of his future ahead of him, it just makes it that much harder. I mean, obviously there's somebody like Joe Weeder and Ben Weeder and Larry Scott. I mean, those guys lived
full lives. Yeah, right.
They lived a life, and they had full and great lives, and it accomplished as much as you could ever expect from any human being. And I have no doubts Dallas would have done the same. And even only having been 26 years old, Dallas accomplished more in those 26 years than.
And what a great talent, David. I mean, you're talking about a young kid. We haven't even seen the best of Dallas. I mean, 26. You're not even there yet. I mean, you're not even 30, where really the muscle maturity even kicks in. You talk about a talent. And this was a guy that we looked at as the future, of bodybuilding, possible Mr. Olympia down the road. I know Phil Heath was very fond of Dallas and almost, wanting to kind of give him the scepter. Of course, when Phil decides to give it up, but he kind of joke around with Dallas about that. He's like, yeah, listen, kid, when I'm gone, you can have it, kind of thing. But Dallas was very tight knit in the bodybuilding community. Just a good country kid, like I say, nice to everybody. He had a heart of gold. I met his parents at the Olympia last year, and we got a kick out of the fact that his parents are from Blue Goose, Tennessee.
Tennessee.
So I used to kid Dallas. He was the pride of Blue Goose, Tennessee. He's like, there's only about 18 people there, buddy, so it's kind of easy to be the pride. But and the funny thing is, I remember fondly. I'm gonna have to dig up my old phone because I actually have a text exchange with Dallas, dating back. I don't know. It's got to be a couple of years ago now. When we actually came up with the Big Country moniker, he was looking for a nickname. You know what I mean? And he came up with I can't remember what they were, but it was something ridiculous. And I'm like, bro, you can't use that. You know what I mean? He's like, I don't know. I just thought maybe, what if I was this, or what if I, you're kind of just looking for, have a little fun and come up with a nickname. And I don't know how it came up, but I says, this is all by text. And I said, bro, you're a big country freaking kid from Blue Goose, Tennessee. And just the words big country, just kind of like the light bulb went off. And I go, that's it. And he's like, what's it? And I says, Big Country. That's your name. I said, that is absolutely, like, you couldn't get a better name for a guy that was more fitting. Not in size, obviously, not in where he's from, all that. I always thought if he was ever a wrestler, that would have been his moniker,
Yeah, no, I mean, Yeah, I was just talking with Dallas last week. Speaking of wrestling, his girlfriend Ashley Sabera is in WWE, and when Dallas was here and for his last show, I was telling him that me and some friends were gonna head over to WWE, and he said, "Yeah, well, when tickets go on sale, shoot me a message, remind me.
Right.
I'll talk to Ashley, we'll get you hooked up." So I was just talking to him just last week about wrestling of all things. Hey, WWE's coming to Green Bay. He's like, "Don't worry, I got you, I got you, I got you." So, just to have a couple of goofy conversations with Dallas about something as casual as wrestling, completely non-bodybuilding related, a week ago, to him being gone is.
I tell you this: if anybody could have made that transition, like that's a kid. Yeah, I'd always hate to lose a good bodybuilder like that to the WWE, but I got to be honest. If anybody was more cut out to be a wrestler, I mean, his size, his persona, his athletic ability. I don't know if people remember. I mean, you go look at some guest posing where he do that jumping splits. This is a 290-pound guy.
They were chasing him.
I believe it.
I haven't said anything about it. Just because. At the time, Dallas kind of wanted to keep it on the low, and he wanted to be a bodybuilder. But the last time we talked, Dallas did say, yeah, the WWE they were pursuing him a little bit.
How could you not? Listen, you talk about talent in the ring.
They loved his personality. They loved his look, his enthusiasm, and it wouldn't. Like I said, it's not something that's been discussed a whole lot, but it wouldn't be that far-fetched that Dallas may have ended up doing some stuff with WWE sooner or later. Whether he decided to go that route or stick with bodybuilding, I think he would have been a great success, as he was in bodybuilding either way. But, he was such a fun guy with a big heart and a personality to match his size. And, he'd have done well in really anything he did. And just for us and in the bodybuilding media and the fans and stuff like that, we're lucky that he chose bodybuilding, and because of that, we had a chance to get to know somebody like him. So
sure, you mentioned his girlfriend Ashley Sabera. Now we all know her as Dana Burke in the WWE. I've known Dana since she was a kid, literally when she turned pro. She's a former IFBB fitness pro. Actually, just competed this last year at the Arnold, and we got a chance to catch up there. And obviously, she's very devastated at this time. Her and Aaron Singerman just put out a video just a little while ago. They've actually started a GoFundMe page. Now, let me clarify for everybody. This is not a GoFundMe to help out with Dallas and any funeral arrangements or any of that type of thing. Dallas did perfectly fine, and obviously, Aaron will take care of business. This is actually a foundation. It's a Dallas McCarver Foundation, and we're gonna put the information up on the screen here for people if they want to contribute. This is something Dallas had always wanted to do, and he always talked about it way down the road. But he always told Aaron, he'd like to put together some kind of a foundation in his name to help out kids. He loved kids, you know what I mean? We all saw that video with him messing around with that little kid on stage that they brought out.
Right here in Wisconsin.
Yeah, right in your backyard, which was pretty funny. But that was Dallas all day long. Like I said, his heart was as big as his personality, which was as big as his physique. So they have started the Dallas McCarver Foundation, so people can contribute to that, and obviously that's all good. It's 100% charitable. It's a nonprofit thing, like I say. So just to clarify, this is not going to anything to do with Dallas per se, but it's in his name and for the kids. So even in death, his heart just continues to give out to the community.
Yeah, him and Ashley were a great couple, and I think it's important for her to make sure some of the things that he wanted to accomplish still get done, and for her to put that together, I think speaks volumes about how she felt about Dallas, and the relationship that they had. Obviously, Aaron's working on things as well. Aaron and Dallas had a good business relationship, but also they were really good friends. So it's definitely a rough day for Aaron. We saw him put out a video earlier clearing up some speculation and just talking a little bit about the kind of person Dallas was as a competitor and just as an individual. And it was pretty touching. And I know it was real hard for Aaron to to have a camera in his face and say that sort of stuff as it is right now. But Um, it's just it's it's a lot to take in.
Sure
I
it is.
mean, it's
Sure it is.
you start in this industry and you hope people give you the time of day, and then the people that you hope give you the time of day turn into acquaintances, and then Dallas was with Team MD for a while, so you're kind of in the same team, I guess you could say, and teammates turn into friends, and friends turn into family, and it's been a rough day, man. It's a lot to take in, and when anybody at age 26, regardless of the type of person you are, it's pretty hard to it's pretty hard to have to say goodbye, and but Dallas was he was a good human being, just inside and out, and not that you want to see anybody's life cut short at all, but it's just that much harder when the type of person Dallas was, and seeing him taken from us at the age he was. And I just, I hope, the people that I had a chance to get to know him feel as lucky as I do for having, just an opportunity to be a small part of, who he was and part of his life. And I know I'm kind of going off here. It's hard, a little bit difficult.
Listen, David. I mean, it's tough for everybody, and and you make a good point, which is, there are those of us who didn't know him personally. I was very close with Dallas. We kept in touch on a regular basis, and like I said, I enjoyed spending time we did with each other. I put this out to the people on the internet. I mean, we're all part of the boards, the various websites, different things, and I've seen a lot of stuff today. Listen, you expect a certain amount of garbage out there. There's a lot of speculation as to how he died and all that. We're not going to get into all that. Listen, the bottom line is a 26-year-old kid was taken to us too soon. And the bottom line is it doesn't matter whether it was a heart attack, whether he ended up choking and that led to a heart attack, it was reversed. It doesn't really matter. The bottom line is he's gone, and it's final. And there were those of us that were, listen, we're friends, we're family. He's got family. So the only thing I would like to put out there to the people online is, have some compassion. Watch really what you say and what you speculate. Be aware that there are those of us that are, close friends of his or family. You don't need all the garbage that's out there on speculation and, it had to be this and, it could have been that. No, I don't believe this for a minute. And listen, there's no conspiracy here. I mean, the 26-year-old kid lost his life. So, people, please, try to have some sort of decency out there, and keep it clean.
I've tried to actually steer clear of social media for as much as I could today. I posted a few things in regards to Dallas. Look, Aaron came out and said that he was found unresponsive with blocked airways, and if that's what Aaron said, and that's what Josh had said, it's my understanding that Josh found him. Then that's what happened, and that's all I need to know. Look, we can speculate all we want as far as if there was other things at play here, but there's a time and a place maybe for that, and I don't know that I'm ever really going to go down that road. Obviously, friends and family want answers and stuff, but yeah, I agree with you guys. It's like it's so easy for people sometimes to distance themselves from celebrities or things like that. And it becomes easy to sit at your keyboard and type up all sorts of nonsense and garbage when you don't know somebody personally. But you have to understand that Dallas was, I mean, you take away the muscle, and he's just like the rest of us. I mean, he was a guy who was always laughing, always smiling, great to be around. He was a son, he was a friend, a family member, and it's like, it seems like there's a handful of people who really lost sight of that today, and they let their fingers type some pretty crazy stuff online, and it's just like, I don't want to get into speculating. I posted that today. I really didn't even want to have to discuss it, but I don't ask for a lot from people of the internet. But it's like, what, guys, just like I said, there's a time and a place for everything, and right now is not the time to be throwing out nonsense as far as the details of how he passed. And there's at the end of the day, I know people want answers, and I know that's human nature to want to know what happened. But right now, what we need to know is that Dallas is no longer with us, and there's a lot of people who knew him very well that are very real people that are mourning and very sad over his loss. And you guys just got to remember he was a real person and not just some, figure in a sport. And please just keep that in mind when you're making comments in regards to his passing, because, for as much as some people are able to, take comments and things they see online and on social media and just kind of brush it aside, some people don't do that so well. And please keep in mind that his family and his friends and stuff are reading the things you post, and just be mindful of that. Just for a couple days, just be human.
Yeah, just keep it cool. We'd appreciate that, certainly his friends, and I know his family would as well. David, the one thing we will do and we can do is we will honor Dallas in his memory. Obviously, him being a part of our sport and our community. And obviously we'll do something at the Olympia in his memory. Even though he wasn't going to be in the Olympia this year, he was as part of the landscape as anybody right now. I mean, you talk about relevant people, David. Right now, I mean, Dallas is pretty much on top of his game.
Yeah.
And listen, for those, again, I know a lot of people want to throw a lot of speculation out there. Listen, he had some issues earlier in the year, as we all know, in Australia. And I think a lot of people cast doubt when that came out, and, respiratory problems, this and that. Listen, that could have been a contributing factor in this. We don't know. But clearly he had some issues with acid reflux, with respiratory. Any of that could have contributed. The bottom line is the bottom line, which is, you're right, he's no longer with us, and we'd like to keep that respectful. Like I said, I'm not sure exactly. I mean, this is obviously very new, but I can guarantee you we will absolutely do him right at the Olympia. And I think that's good for the community. I mean, listen, he would have been there. I know he would have been rooting on Big Josh and Flex. Again, my heart, it just keeps going back to those two guys, because they were literally like brothers, training in the gym. Like I say, videos every day. These guys are having a time of their life getting ready. I don't know how you process that as Flex Lewis or Josh. I know they're professionals. I know they'll do what they got to do. You hope it doesn't impact them in a way that it will take away. I think that they'll go the other way, like most professional athletes. And we've seen this, David, in football, with other things. Guy's father passes away unexpectedly. This guy goes out and hits 4 home runs, or he rushes for 200 yards, that type of thing. I think you're going to see both these guys rally, do this in Dallas's name and for Dallas, and, come out there with guns a-blazing,
Yeah, everybody in Wisconsin remembers it very clearly. Brett Favre's dad died of a heart attack. I believe it was on a Saturday or a Sunday. And
that's right, yeah.
Brett had a game against the Raiders on Monday Night Football, and it was Sunday or Monday Night Football. And he wasn't going to play, and he decided to go out and play because that's what his dad would have wanted. And I believe he threw for 398 yards and 4 touchdowns.
That's right.
And just did what Brett Favre did, and did it to the best of his ability. And to the best of his ability, at the time was pretty damn good. And I think we're going to see the same thing from Josh and the same thing from Flex, that they are going to, they're going to take this, and for as hard as it's going to be the next 3 weeks, they're going to keep Dallas in the front of their mind and work to honor him. But it's not just going to be those guys. I mean, look, guys, Dallas was close with everybody because that's the kind of person he was. Dexter Jackson made multiple posts today online, and you could tell it hit Dexter really hard. Dexter's down in Florida. I mean, the older guys in the industry looked at Dallas like he was the future, and he was a nice guy. They didn't see him as this young, cocky kid. They saw him as a great person to kind of take the sport into the next generation. And for the younger kids, the up-and-comers, that maybe don't recognize some of the older names. I mean, they obviously love Dallas. And you didn't even have to be much into bodybuilding. If you had a chance to just meet him, period, it was hard not to like Dallas. And, he left a big impression on the people here in Wisconsin when he got out and had fun with that young kid. And that's stuff that those people are literally never going to forget. And, and it's something that puts smiles on a lot of people's faces, and that was something Dallas did very well, and he did it very often, is making people smile. And I think, that's what we're going to remember most from Dallas. I mean, he inspired me. I got my butt kicked at a show last year and interviewed Dallas a couple months later at the Chicago Pro, and asked him, I said, do you worry about your lifting putting you at the risk for injury? Your powerlifting, your heavy movements and stuff like that. And he said in the interview, and I can't remember it word for word, but pretty close, he basically said, I'm more worried about going into the gym and leaving at the end of my workout and feeling like I left something on the table, and getting on stage and wondering if I could have worked harder. And, for me, it was inspiring. It's not like I went through caution to the wind, but I went back to the gym and I said, you know what, I'm going to take that mindset and move forward with it and say, what, if that's what I have to do, then that's what I have to do. But, Dallas was the kind of person that inspired everybody, young, old, people that have been around the sport for 25 years and people who have been around the sport for 25 days. Dallas had an impact on everybody.
Yeah, he sure did. Listen, the Dallas stories will be out in full force. And listen, like I say, we'll do them right at the Olympia. We'll do them right on that weekend. There's a fine line. It's very difficult, and unfortunately, I've been in this position far too many times in my career, that you want to pay homage, you want to do it right. On the other side of the coin, there's still a show to go on, and there's a very fine line there, David. It's very difficult. I'll be the first one to tell you. Steve Stone passing away. Most people today don't know who Steve Stone was. He was the lead and head expediter out of New York that worked at the Olympia. I worked with Steve Stone for many, many years, and we worked the Olympia together. And he actually passed away at the Olympia, backstage. We were literally 10 minutes before showtime. And listen, I don't make any bones about it. It was the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life, was to find out that my friend just passed away, and then walk out onto the stage to 2,000 people that were at the expo waiting for a show to start. Now, they don't know what's going on. This was all backstage. It wasn't out in the front. It wasn't something that was obviously widely broadcast, and it was literally in real time. It was them. And I remember looking at Robin Chang, and he looked at me, and he says, "You going to be all right to go out there?" And I kind of looked at him like, well, what's our other choice?
Don't have a choice.
No, and you talk about a tough situation. You got to go out, hey, Vegas, and what's going on, everybody, Olympia, and it's, like I say, I hope you're never in that position with any of your duties that are coming up in the future, but it's literally the epitome of the show must go on. The one thing I got a chuckle out of is knowing Steve as well as I did, he would have been the first one to have been bitching at us because we were delaying the start of the show. That was just Steve, on time. We do this right. We do it professional. It's the Olympia, and I can't help but think that Dallas would be the same way, obviously, with his training partners and the rest of the crew saying, "Look, man, all right, I'm gone, but I'm watching the show. But you guys need to get back to business here." And the business is bodybuilding, and he's going to be watching the show from his VIP seat up there with the rest of the bodybuilding elite. So we'll do them right, and
I think there's going to be a couple of rough days ahead, and I think eventually we'll come around to sharing some stories, having some laughs, and remembering the good times we had with Dallas. I've got a few stories I can share, a few probably not.
Yeah, right.
All good times though that involve Dallas, and I think the people that we're going to are close to him are gonna be sharing a lot of those and talking a lot about Dallas. And he said there's going to be a lot of tears and a lot of heartache, and that's what we're dealing with right now. But I think sharing stories of good times with Dallas and the good memories and stuff, I think they'll end up being a lot of smiles, and hopefully by the time the Olympia rolls around, people can sit down and have conversations and say, "Oh, you remember when he did this, or remember when he did that?" And we can sit around and just kind of feel lucky that we had an opportunity to know somebody like him.
Absolutely, David. Well, rather than mourn the loss, we will celebrate the life of Dallas McCarver. And, we wanted to take this edition of The Last Rep and dedicate it to Dallas. There's lots of stuff going on, obviously, in the world of bodybuilding. It's going to wait till next week. Obviously, as everybody knows, you down the stage, and we'll have our installment of Baywatch, of course, find out what happened with you and your competition, David, next week, and of course our next installment of the Olympia Series, Part 2. We'll take a couple of the divisions and break them down, and the show will go on, and like I say, we'll do it with Dallas watching over us, and it's going to wrap things up for the special edition of The Last Rep. For David Bay, I'm Bob Chick, and we're out.